morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello, yes, it is Sunday night, and it is time for another live stream. And one of the guys on the Discord decided, I'm going to remove that. I cannot believe you did that. You shocking animal. There. Gone. Hello, I hope you're all safe and well. And it is time for another live stream. And it's been an interesting week because we have had a few new products. There has been this, the Radiomaster Pocket. I nearly got the name wrong. Which gathered far more interest from the community than I was expecting. And that's not because I don't think it's a good radio, but this has really got people going, ooh, can you do this? Can you do that? And we are going to talk a bit about this, and specifically the HDZero ones, because I keep getting questions on this, and I did put it in my review. The HDZero 1 minis do not fit this radio. You cannot do it. I say you can't do it. You possibly could with a bit of machining, but you don't want to be doing that to $100 and odd gimbals on a $60 radio. But we are going to talk about this compared to some of the others, and I've got a few over there that we're going to go and get, and we'll do a bit of a comparison for those who are interested. We're also going to talk about this new mod that has been released by Flywoo for the DJI O3 air unit. This is an O3 Lite mod, and we'll talk around that and the things you need to be aware of. I have had another delivery this week. We are going to talk a little bit about 3D printers, and behind me there is the Creality K1. They did send me one to review. It turned up in, well, my wife thought I'd ordered a rare and exotic animal that comes in a box like this. And she was like, what the hell have you ordered? And I was like, I don't know. And when she opened the outer box, this was inside. And once I seen this, I knew what it was. So we are going to talk a bit about that. And it comes in a box, which is quite interesting. And we'll talk about any of the news there is along the way. We have a new flight controller from SpeedyBee, which is here somewhere. Here it is. I've been doing some tests with it on the bench. Lots of questions around this as well. Black box storage, around the SPI connection, around the USB-C port, and we'll try and answer them as well. As always, we will try and answer, checking I haven't cut myself picking that crate up. As always, we'll try and answer any questions you guys may have along the way too. I want to say a good evening to everyone. It is great to have you here. I want to say a big hello to everyone in the chat as well. We have both the Discord chat up. Hello, everyone over there, including the man who I'm not going to talk about, who just posted something very naughty, and everyone in the YouTube chat as well. It is great to see you all. Now, I also have a cup of tea as well, which I'm going to take a sip of. So, to start, it's been an interesting week because there has been a few new products. And the first one, and we'll get into it, we'll get into the Radiomaster because a lot of people have been interested about this. Now, I put my review of it up. My review, I actually had this before the stream last week. It was actually sitting behind me there. You guys couldn't see it. And I've had a little bit of flight time on it. Not as much as I would like because the weather has been horrific in the UK. But I also flew with it again today. And actually, I really like this radio. It is not by any means going to replace the Boxer for me at all. However, there is so much to like with what Radiomaster have done here. And the really interesting thing about this radio is what they're going after, because they're basically trying to take control of that low end as well. And someone has just mentioned in there, what about the new jumper? And we'll talk about that a bit more in a minute as well. This, though, isn't a competitor or that new jumper is not a competitor to this radio. You have to separate out the segments on this, because I keep getting people saying, oh, what's this like compared to the new jumper T20? The T20 is not designed to compete with this. The T20, in my opinion, is designed to compete with the Boxer. It's got full-size gimbals, 1 watt of RF power. It's like $100 and odd as well compared to this. This is $65. And this pricing on this is incredible. It really, really is. Now, there has been a lot of questions about this, and let me just go to the overhead a minute. With regards to the gimbals and a few other things as well. Now, I did cover this bit in my original review of this radio, but you cannot fit the AG01 gimbals in this radio. It is not possible. I actually shared some stuff on my Discord server on this. Let me just find it, and I will put it up on the screen to show you guys. But I did take some pictures showing the inside of the radio to show you if the gimbals could be fitted. Let me just get to where it actually was. It's a bit further back than I thought. Here we go. So I'm going to make this full screen, and I'm going to put it on the screen for you guys to see a second. Okay, so let me just do this. Actually, let me just do this here. Okay, so the first image to show you is this one. So this is showing you the gimbal from this, the Pocket, next to an AG01 Mini. Now, that isn't actually an AG01 Mini. That is the original gimbal that comes in the Zorro, because I've put the AG01 Minis in my Zorro, but that is the same gimbal. So the first thing you will notice is the whole pattern is dramatically bigger on the original gimbal, okay? It cannot fit. It will not fit. It will not go in. It will not screw in place. Now, this diameter here to here and here to here is actually the same, okay? So this area around here is actually the same overall diameter. It is the screw bosses that won't fit. However, more than that, and I'm going to open this one up as well, this is the gimbals next to each other. Okay, so the right-hand gimbal is the new gimbal on the Radiomaster Pocket, and the left-hand gimbal is the gimbal from the Zorro or the AG01. And you will notice that this gimbal is dramatically taller overall, and it won't actually even fit in past the PCB. So just to show you this one, I did take this picture of the inside of the radio. That gimbal, the original gimbals from the Zorro, will not go in this area here. See this C? It will not even fit in that area. Okay, so there is no easy retrofit here for this. It's as simple as that. The whole mounting pattern is not the same. The depth of the gimbal is not the same. And it will not fit in this seed area. So as much as people want it to happen, there's no way it is. You could, I suppose, get an AG01 and trim all of this off to try and get it in if you really wanted to. I'm not saying it's impossible. If you really wanted to try and force it in and then 3D print some form of bracket to hold it. But guys, this is a $65 radio. There isn't a lot of logic spending $100 and odd or $99 on gimbals. I can't remember how much are the AG01 Minis now. Let's just have a look, shall we? It's been a while since I checked. So if we go to the Zorro accessories, $59 each. A pair is probably $99, is it? Yeah, $99 for the pair. it's just not worth spending $99 on a $65 radio. So that is the situation with it. Now, I have to say, I think this is a fantastic radio. I said I flew it again today, and it really, really is a very good radio. Let me go and grab, 1 second. So I'm going to go back to the overhead. Let me go and grab the other two radios. So, obviously, I didn't prep for this before. We're going to want a T-light. And we're going to want the Commando 8. 2 seconds. I have both of these to hand. So there's the T-light. And actually, I want one more radio. Which I forgot I actually owned. Which is this thing here. Let me come out a little bit. Woohoo! And we've got a Commando 8. Okay, so. Now this is, I think this is the version 1. I don't think this is the version 2. Oh no, this is the Light Radio 2 SE. So I got the Light Radio 2 SE here. Now I can try and get the back on. Now, just to give you some thoughts over the differences, the T20, in my opinion, is not the closest controller. The T20 is more like the Boxer than this radio. The T20 is much larger overall. These are the type of radios that this radio is trying to compete with. So you got the Beta FPV. We've got the, forgotten what it's called, the Commando 8, and then we've got the Jumper. Now, from a gimbal point of view, just to give you guys some opinions, right, this thing is plastic tat, okay? There's no other word to use. It's just plastic tat. That's the term I'll use for this. This and this is like picking up, I don't know, getting a Lada versus a Range Rover. It's just in a different league. But if you look at the size, it's rather interesting when you put it overhead. It's just a different radio. If we then start looking at these three, and these are the three that it really falls into. The gimbals have a lot of flex on this radio. This is just solid. It really, really is. This feels like a proper radio. The gimbals on this do feel really, really nice. They're also pretty decent on the jumpers, but I wouldn't say they are as good as the Radiomasters. But that gives you an overall. Now, the plastics on this is nice and solid. This is always a nice feeling radio, this one. It feels like a nice solid radio, although the gimbals, in my opinion, let this down. It's not the best radio in the world as a result of the gimbals. And also, my big complaint on this radio was when I tore this down, right, when I took this apart inside, and you could see in through the back, the wires that go to the gimbals themselves are tiny, and they are asking for issues. They really are asking for issues. If we then... Oh, let me go to the overhead. We've then got this, which is obviously the T-Light, which is a nice radio. Proper switches, which is always good. You can't beat having proper switches. But, yeah, the gimbals aren't great. The gimbals aren't great. What I would say on this is this. This feels as good as the Boxer. The Zorro. That's what I would say with it. But look, that gives you the sizing. This radio is very much in this category. Now, I did just see someone say about compare the Jumper T20 to a Boxer. It's in that size range. If we look at the sizing here, right, and this is where they are not the same radios. They are really, really not. Now, we can't, and here's something which I think is frankly ridiculous. If we go to Jumper's website, the new T20 doesn't exist. Okay? So for starters, Jumper do not have their T20 listed on their website. What the... I don't even know where to start with that. And I've just found that out before I started on this. You have got a post on RC Groups about it, and then we've got the stuff that is on the AliExpress. But there is nothing on Jumper's website. You can go into products. It doesn't exist. It's not here. It's just not here. It's not even in the list that runs down the side. If you go on the home page, an ad for it will appear up here in a moment. So if we just wait a second, you'll see an ad scroll through. There it is, which you can't click on. Can't click on it. Can't take you anywhere. And it is not listed under their radio section. That's madness. I'm sorry, but that is absolute madness when you're trying to sell a product. The only place I can get info on this new radio is on AliExpress. So let's hope it's right. So if we look at the dimensions, I'm assuming they give us the dimensions. Let's just scroll down. They're saying there's an external module interface on the back. Takes some nice big batteries, 21700s. You can't complain about that. Right. So you got to screw on this external bay. Let me just zoom in. I'm not sure about that. So this reminds me of the the Commando 8. You've got to screw a bay on the back. Because that's not a standard bay, look. So you've either got to put their metal CNC transition form. So you've got to buy that separately, I'm assuming, from the radio. Okay, size. Finally, we're getting to it. Size. Okay, so if we go to Radiomaster a minute, and let's just go to the Boxer first of all, and let's just get some of the specs on the Boxer from size-wise. So the Boxer is 235 by 178 by 77. And this is... I've lost the spec. Where are the sizing? So this is 185 by 138 by 68. So 138 deep compared to the Boxer, which is 178. Okay. 185 wide compared to 235. So there's a bit of a difference there on the width. If we just take a look at what is the width of the Pocket, is it... See, it's definitely bigger than the Pocket, because the Pocket, you see, is 156. So this T20 sits between the two radios in sizing. It's not the same. It's not as big as a Boxer, but it's not as wide. It's wider than this, but not as wide as a Boxer, is the easiest term to use. So this is 65 by 125. So this is 125. So the Jumper is definitely a bigger radio, but it definitely sits in the middle. However, I don't think this compares to this radio. I think these are different classes. This radio is designed for this class. That's what my opinion on this is. This is in this class of radio. Then this then falls into the Boxer class, because there isn't a class between it. This falls into that class of Boxer, Mambo, and now this. That's the reality of it. Now, it is a very interesting looking radio. Nice big batteries. We like that. It's got 21700s, which are cool. Not as easy to get hold of. Will mean you'll have to buy new batteries. Might have been happy with 18650s, but 21700s is okay. You've got removable CNC handle, which is really nice to see. We've got proper switches on the back. What have they saying here? So we've got powerful external radiator for backing up the 1 watt of express ELRS, which is good. Non-slip mat with nice handle feeling. Okay, that's on the corners. Reserved external module interface and controllable 2S power interface XT30. And then battery compartment for 21700s. I like the button layout. I think this is nice. I think all of this is all very nice. I do like this. Auxiliary throttle channels. The fixed wing community will like that. And yeah, I think it's a nice looking radio. But the problem here with this is they have a video on their site. Where have you found the video? If they've got a video somewhere, have they? YouTube channel. Yeah, on their YouTube channel, they've got a promo video. Yes, I did see that. Yeah. But there's nothing on their website, which is shocking. Absolutely shocking, frankly. If a company can't put a product on their website, there's something wrong. Let's not forgive them for stupid crap. Let's be clear on this. Overall, it looks a nice radio. But you can't buy it anywhere easily outside of AliExpress. It is available on AliExpress, but you can't get it at dealers. I've been trying to look at it round for dealers, and I haven't been able to find it in the UK at all at the moment. Price-wise, if we have a look, Hall sensor, 2.4 gig edition there, 79 from them. Who is that shipped from? Because on this other one here, it was a lot dearer. See, here it's £96. And what's that in dollars? Let's get it into dollars. $120. So it is $10 cheaper than a Boxer. I think that's awkward ground. That's a bit better. 94 US dollars. That's better. Who is that being shipped by? So they're doing it for 96. That's not so bad. If you can get it for $96, I think that's a better deal. But I definitely don't think it's in the same category as the Pocket. I think they're just two different radios. They genuinely are two different radios. There is a video. There's a couple of videos been shared here on my Discord. Let's have a look. Let me just bring that one up. Oh, that's a picture with it. Oh, let me try and open this up. There's a short and I don't want the audio. How do I stop the audio on a short? The desktop. So this gives you an idea of its size in here. So that's it compared to the jumper we just took a look at. It's definitely wider. Yeah, about the same size as a Mambo then. If you look there, because the box is a bit wider than a Mambo, it's definitely similar in sizing. It's definitely, in my opinion, Mambo, Boxer, T20. That's the sizing of this thing. Does look interesting. There's no question it looks interesting. But I think we're going to have to wait and see. See, yeah, you can see the height difference. That's super interesting. So you can see the height difference there. I'm just wondering, I wasn't even sure how this would be in my hands, but this was all right. So it'll be fine. Nice OLED display on the front as well, which is nice. But yeah, cool. So, interesting. Definitely interesting. Get off. But I don't think it's in the same category. It's just not in the same category. Different radios. This is a gamepad controller radio. And that's something else. So I have sent Jumper an email and said, hey, any chance you can send me a T20? Let's see if they will. I'd love to do a review on it. If they don't, I will buy one and do a review on it once I can get one. Although I don't really want to order one from China. It just takes so long. It's like three weeks if I order it. Do you think you could swap out the switches on the Pocket for something more solid metal? Look, there's always mods you can do to these things. You could put normal rockers on this if you wanted to. There's no reason you couldn't. There's lots of stuff you can do, but it's an entry-level radio. And I just think it comes as it comes. I wouldn't be spending great amounts of money on it. I would find it hard to believe anyone would complain about the build quality. It's really good. Honestly, this thing just feels solid. It's got a nice weight to it. I'm not the greatest fan of these top rocker switches, and as I said in my review, I would have rather that was latching. But other than that, I think it's a good radio. Well worth a look. $65. What more can you say than that? A backpack TX. And you don't need an accessory to put a nano module on the back. It's just, I was shocked when it came in and I saw the price. Genuinely, I saw it. I was just like, Jesus. You know, when you compare it to this thing, you know, this is, you know, not good. Even this feels a bit. This is solid, honestly. The thickness of the plastic shell. It's huge. What's the cheapest place to order a boxer in the EU? Probably Radiomaster Direct, but yeah, a local dealer. The gimbals are decent. The problem with gimbals is this, right? They are decent. They got a good spring to them. I can't see people being unhappy with them. The Pocket is only 250 milliwatts. Yes, it is. Can't be as cheap as the TX12. Yeah. The TX12 felt cheap. This doesn't. That's something I actually mentioned that in the review of the TX12. The plastics on the TX12 felt cheap. This just doesn't. This just doesn't. It feels great. Nothing like it. Can you use high capacity 18650s? Yeah, no reason you can't. But you'll get 9 hours battery life on the 2000 milliamp hours roughly. So you got no problems with battery life on it. That's the best part about it. Okay, now before we move on, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat and I will try and answer them. 2 seconds. Let me just do something. Let me just get myself ready for the next one. Zorro needs a V2. Yeah, Zorro does need a V2. It really does need a V2, does the Zorro. You are right. You are right. It's... It's not great. It's a great radio, but the battery life just let it down so much. That's the downside. Yeah, Zorro with two 18650s. 100%. It just would have been good enough. It just would have been good enough. Okay, now, if you've got any questions, please put it in the chat before we move on. Now, as always with questions, I'll try and answer anything you guys have got. There is no requirement to give me a super chat to try and answer the question. However, I will always welcome super chats if you want to donate any, but they are not mandatory. Now, at this point, I am just going to do a quick bit of shilling before we move on and talk about DJI, and that is because I just want to remind everyone I do have a Patreon. If you don't know, there is a Patreon there available with a $2 supporter, and I also have a Buy Me a Coffee as well, and if you are interested in supporting the channel, they are both available, and that's enough of that. Do I think Radiomaster have a Zorro 2 in the pipeline with higher capacity batteries? I don't know. Look, the mods people had to do on the Boxer, sorry, the Zorro meant chewing up some of the gimbal. They're going to have to move everything around to make it work. They are going to have to move a lot around. The irony is, I actually said they should have made the Boxer a bit more of a radio like this, with the bottom filled in, but then that's what this is. It's a tough one. My Boxer also doesn't have that new back panel. Interesting, Jody. So your one has the flat back panel. If you want to install the AGO ones, I'd reach out to Radiomaster and ask them about it. New case for the current Zorro, maybe. Slightly bigger. That would be cool. Yeah, leather side panels for the Boxer. And I put a video out on this today. You know, there is a blinged up Boxer available out there if you go to the Rotor Riot one. But I believe, just looking down the questions, hi, Ian FPV, is there some benefit to having the ELRS version of the Boxer if using Crossfire? So if you're using Crossfire, you're going to need a module. But I would still buy the ELRS one probably of the two, unless you want the 4-in-1. A lot of quads now come with ExpressRS, as Ian F just said. If you're using Crossfire, get a module and put it in the back, but I would go with the ELRS version. Thank you, Quad City Bay Area, for the $2. Zorro Gims too loose, I think, because they're minis. Yeah, and these definitely have a bit more spring to them, in my opinion. And I'm only going to say in my opinion. I wanted a bit more spring on the Zorro ones too. And thank you, Dave. What's up, FPV, for the $5 super chat? You are incredible, my friend. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Two of my Vistas stay on 6 megabits at no range. Any ideas? Okay, so does your goggles show the battery voltage in the bottom corner? That is the first question. So is it picking up the battery voltage from the bottom corner, which is from the air unit? And that will tell us if the MSP connection is working properly. Yes. Okay. When you arm, does the low power mode message vanish? And does it start recording? It supports QC3 power. It will do QC3. Red box comes on and records, yet stays at 6 megabits. Is this on V2 goggles or goggles 2? Stays in low power. Right. The fact that it's showing the battery voltage. Is the OSD working correctly? Do you have OSD? Is the next question. Betaflight OSD. If you do, everything's okay. Even swapped out Vistas. And what happened when you swapped out the Vista? Yeah, it can't record in low power mode. It'll only record in norm. All okay with new one. Right, it's one of two things. You may have a damaged TX line on the Vista. If the TX, and you need both lines working, and if one of the lines isn't working, the chances are you've blown a diode. That's probably what it is. There is a diode repair mod out there as well. It is on repair.wiki, and it is out there. It's either that there's a communication issue with the flight controller, so I check the wires, even replace the wires to the Vista. But if that's still not working, it's probably blown a diode. That's probably what it is. Do I think Major Pro antennas will work with DJI O3? Not heard of that one. Also, make sure you refresh the firmware on them, just to make sure. I've not heard of that antenna. Let me have a look. I actually have... Oh, the maple things. I really don't know what to make of these antennas, okay? That I've seen so much hearsay and nonsense and good and bad. I really don't know what to make of them. Okay. The directional antennas, they can absolutely be used on O3. Remember, and I have a video on this subject tomorrow. Here's the crazy thing, right? If I go to export to use and show you this, this is the video thumb that you will see tomorrow on this very subject. There's some irony for you. However, right, you can use any 5 gigs antennas on O3 if you're not using the DJI remote controller. If you're using the DJI remote, the system will use both 2.4 gigs and 5 gigs. If you're using any other remote system, it doesn't matter what it is, Crossfire, Express, ELRS, Futaba, Spectrum, anything, it will stay predominantly in 5 gigs mode, and you can use any 5 gigs antennas on the O3 Air unit and the goggles. The thing to understand is the O3 Air unit and the goggles have linear polarized antennas. So if you were to swap the antennas on one side, you're going to have roughly a 3 dB loss, but I wouldn't worry about that in itself. What I would say is this. The O3 goggles have 2 internal antennas, 2 internals, 2 externals. If you were to replace the 2 external ones, you've still got the 2 internal ones that are dual band anyway, and even if you were using the DJI remote, that's going to offer some good performance overall. As for what these specific antennas are like, I can't comment. I tend to use True RC or some of the Flyfish antennas. That tends to be what I use these days. Can you pair Express ELRS on the Pocket with a PC via Bluetooth? I've not tried that, Cool Powers. It will do whatever Express ELRS does. There's no reason it shouldn't. Yeah, diodes is what I think on that. Just 2 of around 30 Vistas refuse to power up, even with the low power protection on. Yeah, just make sure they're activated properly as well. Make sure you're using Assistant 2 for FPV. Thank you, thank you, Neptune FPV, for the £1.99 super chat. That's incredible. Is there a way to deactivate the gyro on an FC to use it with with differential thrust on a boat. You can, in the flight stack, yes, you just have to find out how they would do it. I use external on the goggles too, True RC patches and all good. Yeah, the True RC antennas are very good. So, yeah, I've got the antenna video coming on O3 tomorrow, and it just sort of clears up a bit of the hearsay and rumours around that. There is also another video coming on O3 about the recording modes. There's a lot of confusion about that, but we'll talk about that a bit in a minute as well. Now, this leads us nicely on to Flywoo, because... Actually, start this again. And have a sip of my tea. So, I'm going to knock that over my phone in a minute. So I'm going to move it. So this leads us nicely on to Flywoo. This week, they've released something rather interesting. And if we hop over to their website, you will see that they've released what they're calling the Flywoo Naked O3 Air Unit. Now, this isn't an official DJI sanctioned product, just to be clear. This is a Flywoo mod. They are known for doing stuff like this. They actually did it with the Vista in the past as well. They released a naked Vista, but they have this kit that allows you to strip the O3 Air unit back into its absolute minimum components. Now, there are some 3D printed parts available online allowing you to do this, but what's actually really interesting about this is the camera side of things, because they're also shipping a bracket that allows you to remove the whole outside casing of the camera to get the weight down. Now, just to show you what they've done, they have this... We're going to... Oh, no. View model. They have... Ooh, can we make this bigger? Wait, there we go. So, they have this kit, and this is very cool, I have to say. Look, this released yesterday, right? And this is on their website. And Jumper haven't even got the T20 on yet, so that tells you a lot. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. This is real cool. So they have this bracket that replaces the back of the camera. You completely remove the camera from the original housing. You then screw it into this bracket with the 4 screws there. And then this has the screw mounting holes in the side. And then they give you this mounting kit for the air unit. So you've got a bracket that goes between the plates to support the boards. You've then got a top bracket that allows you to hold everything down that side. A bracket this side for the antenna lock. So look, it'll actually hold the antennas down. And if we flip it over, there's a bracket down here, a cable locker for the camera as well. This animation is fantastic. Look at this. Now, this is obviously going to allow you to reduce the weight of the system. And what they're saying is this. You can reduce the weight by 37% if you keep the metal shielding in place, like here. So this one has the metal shielding in. Or you can reduce the weight by 50% if you remove the metal shielding, and including removing the SD card slot as well. So they show... Let me just... No. Get off the spamming. So they show here the parts that they include with it. CNC centerpiece, CNC bracket, CNC camera piece. Save up to 4 grams on the camera. They've got custom ND filters for it as well. And down here, they're showing you the weight savings. So, O3 without the mods, 36.8 grams. With the initial mod, but still with the metal shielding, down to 23.2 grams. Or if you remove the metal shielding, you get down to 18.3, but you're also removing the SD card slot at that point as well. And really, you're also reducing the size. So you're going from 13.8mm down to 10mm on the micro, or 12.5 on the full size. 28.5 from 30.5. And yeah, overall, really is a big, big saving in weight. The camera goes from 9 grams to 5 grams. The VTX goes from 27 to either 18.2 or 13.3. That is incredible. You're going from 36.8 to 18.3 on the absolute minimal version. Welcome everyone to O3 Lite that everyone asked for. Now, what is interesting in this is how it's going to behave thermally. Now, in the air, it's probably going to be fine. However, you can already see high temperature warning from cold start is 10 minutes on a standard air unit, 3.3 minutes on the light, and 2.2 minutes on the completely naked one. So, you're removing thermal mass, which means it is going to overheat quicker. But that doesn't mean it won't be able to keep its temps under control in flight. We don't, though, know a reality of how this is going to perform at this time. Now, they are selling this as kits, or they're selling it as the parts. So, for instance, the kit itself is available. The naked case kit is 16 quid in the UK. The naked O3 air unit Lite, pre-done by them, is 203 quid, and the Ultra is 227. Naked O3 Clear UV is $7, £7. And the ND filter set is 18. So you can buy either the kit to do it yourself or the pre-done one from them. Now, there are some things you're going to need to be aware of. Obviously, if you're doing your own, this is going to affect your warranty. The O3 air unit is very fragile on its connectors. It is very easy to damage this air unit. It is not the easiest thing. Let me just open up something because I want to show you it. If we go onto repair.wiki and I show you the inside of the O3 air unit, basically what they're doing is giving you the option to strip it down to either this point here with the boards, and you can see here that the SD card is mounted on that top can, or taking it down to here. Now, if you look at it, this is how those air units come, right, from the factory. So if you're going to tear yours down, you're going to need to clean them up. Overall, it isn't particularly difficult on this stage. So you got compound here, you just need to wipe off. That'll be nice and easy. Same here, there's a bit of compound here. And if you're leaving the cans on, it will be fine. However, if you're going to do your own and decan it, you're going to need to clean all of this out, all of this out, all of that out as well. To be honest, they're going to want ultrasonic cleaning. That's how they will be doing it at the factory. You're going to need to do that to get the boards clean. So it isn't going to be a simple task. I'll be honest, if you are interested in one and you don't have an air unit, I'm guessing they're ultrasonic cleaning them themselves, especially considering the picture they're showing. Look, it looks nice and clean in that picture, so I would expect it to come a lot like that. So you're going to want... Isopropyl will do it, but you're going to want an ultrasonic because it's not going to be easy to clean. Trust me, I've torn one of these down. This stuff gets freaking everywhere in there. It's under all the ICs. Like, you can see it there. Like, I wiped that down. It's a freaking nightmare. Isopropyl you're going to need. But this stuff also doesn't really... it's cleaner because it's a render. Yeah, I know. I just wouldn't expect it to come like that. But yeah, it's not going to be an easy task. It's going to take a bit of time if you're going to do it yourself. You've got, obviously, the chipsets. But the one thing you're going to need to be very careful of is these connectors. These are really fragile on the O3 Air unit. Both of these connectors are really, really fragile. So you're going to want to be very, very careful of that. But it is cool. I think it's very, very cool indeed. And you can't knock the price. You really can't. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how it performs. Now, someone did ask, how does it compare to a naked Vista? Flywoo used to sell one themselves. I don't know if they still do. Let's just have a look. Flywoo did have a naked Vista. Here we go. So, the Naked Vista kit. So, what does that come in at? Wait. Naked weight with camera, 17 grams. And this is coming in. I've forgotten what it was. So, let's get back down to the weight chart. Wow, 18.3. So you're talking 1.3 grams more than a Naked Vista, and it's got the DVR on board because you still got the 20 gig of onboard memory you can use. Remember? So you still have that 20 gigs of onboard storage. So 1.3 grams for that 20 gigs of onboard storage and the O3. That is incredible. That is genuinely incredible. That's what they were selling it for with the Nebula Pro. This literally is the O3 Lite that everyone was asking for. This is it, guys. It don't get much better than that. It genuinely doesn't. I think we'd all love to see a single board O3, but yeah, this is the bee's knees with regards to taking weight out the system. We're just going to have to see how it performs. This may not come without issues. You're going to want airflow. That's for sure. And we're going to have to see. Pivot for a light, no GPS build, 100%. And actually, GPS, Dennis has made a very good point. GPS is going to get affected by this without the shielding. But is it worth $100 cost for a broken camera? That is the interesting thing. I tell you what, I would love Flywoo, as they're going so all out on making this stuff. Hiya, Funpoo. How are you doing? As they're going all out, they need to make a replacement lens. They absolutely need to make a replacement lens for this. They will be the bee's knees if they produce a replacement lens option for this camera as well. So if they made the naked unit and replacement lens, that will be it. Everyone would be happy. So it's cheap. $20. Gonna be interesting to see. I am going to order one of these kits and I'm going to tear down an O3 Air unit and we're going to have to see how it goes. It absolutely, definitely looks interesting. I'm going to have to get an ultra... Oh, no, I can put it... I can put the boards in my IPA bath for my resin printer. That's what I'll do. Very interesting indeed. Okay, guys, I'm just going to finish my tea. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat. O3 cameras hate bandos. Yeah, they're not the most resilient. Very, very interesting indeed. Oh, someone mentioned what I was going to mention next. Nicely played. Nicely played. Let me just get ready. I will make an unibody frame with internal hydraulics for cooling with heat pipe. Do you know, I've been thinking about heat pipes on frames. I genuinely have been thinking about heat pipes on frames. I think that there's an option. Have I got a frame over there? 1 second. No, I was looking to see if there was a frame there. But yeah, I've definitely been thinking about a heat pipe frame. Why don't they sell the original Square DJI cameras more? And a few more cameras have been killed off. DJI have stopped producing stuff for the original FPV system, unfortunately. How does the GoPro session compare to the full camera? The old session is not in the same league of what we've got today. Now, this week, DJI released this. Now, I found it very hard to get excited about this, but I am going to talk about it a little bit because it is the Osmo or the Action 4, which is the replacement for the Action 3, which was the replacement for the Action 2, of which I own. And I've lost it. No, I don't. There it is. Now, the Action 2 is renowned to be not very good with regards to its low light performance, and really two problems with this camera. Number one is its low light, and number two is its dynamic range, but also not just the dynamic range, it's the capability of the exposure to switch between light levels, because it simply stays completely dark when it should have kicked the automatic gain control in, and AGC should have chucked the brightness up, and it struggles. However, what made this camera really great was its form factor. Let's be honest, right? This is as close as we've got to the Session. It is fantastic. Now, I don't own a modern GoPro. The one I've got is this. This is one of the old ones, which is converted into a black edition. The firmware is hacked on this to be a black. I think this is the 5 or the 6. I can't remember. But this one, this was the SE model that you could modify to become a Hero Black. I can't remember which one it is, but you reflash the firmware. Basically, GoPro sold their last black model as like an SE or a version 2 model. And you could upgrade the firmware. But what was great about this was the fact of the form factor. However, DJI have released an Action 4, and I'll be honest, there's nothing exciting here. There really isn't. We've got a bigger sensor. Okay, that is good. It is a 1/1.3. Now, that is bigger than what we've had before. What was the sensor size on the Action 2? Let me just check. And then the Action 3. Let me just check that, because I can't actually remember their sensor sizing. So 1/1.7 on the Action 2. Okay, so that's smaller. Let's just check it on the Action 3. Still 1/1.7. Cool. So they've increased the sensor size, which is great. That's going to make a big difference. And actually, 1/1.3 isn't that much smaller than 1 inch. It is smaller, but it isn't that much smaller than a 1-inch sensor. It really isn't, because you need to understand a 1-inch sensor isn't a 1-inch sensor. It's got 10-bit. It's got all sorts of stuff, okay? Very nice. However, it's still a big camera. At the end of the day, it is still a fairly large piece of kit, but it does have the nice color modes, 4K 120, which is really nice to see. But O3 can do 4K 120, so, you know, nothing special there. There's really nothing here, I think, other than the color temperature calibration, which is quite interesting. But overall, I think it's okay. I'm, though, not in any rush to jump in, considering the problems they've had in the past, and I would love to see some proper FPV footage on this of how it performs. But what is really interesting is what is being rumored from GoPro, and that is a 1-inch sensor. Now, that is a real game changer, potentially. However, I will again stress, there really isn't a lot in size difference between a 1/1.3 and 1 inch. And the reason is, a 1-inch sensor is not 1 inch. It's actually about 0.63 of an inch corner to corner. Just so you know. And if we compare the sizes, let me just see if I can find a chart to show you the sizes. Because there isn't that much in it. So if we look here, and this isn't the greatest chart to use, I'll be honest. Let me just find it. One over 3.2, 1/2, 1/, well, they haven't got 1/1.3 on that chart. Let me just try and find it. Right, okay, so this year, this year will give you a better idea. Okay, so if we go here, 1/3.2, which is here. This is the sensor size that we've had before. That tends to be the sensor size we had. Was it DJI Action 2? Let's just check. Was it 1/3.2? I've actually forgotten. What? Action 2 was 1/1.7. Oh, no, sorry. 1/1.7 compared to 1/3.2. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting myself confused. So 1/1.7 is here. That's the size of that sensor. And 1/3.2 is going to be something up here. Quite a dramatic difference. Quite a big difference. However, if you go from 1/1.3, 1/1.7 or 1/1.3, they're about that size here. There's something in between, a bit smaller than that, to 1 inch. It isn't dramatic. But it will make a difference. And GoPro have some really good processing. Some of the best processing out there. Now, as always, someone said, Louis just said there, he's got the Insta360 1-inch sensor and the 360 with 2 1-inch sensors, and the quality difference for GoPro is quite dramatic. Better on the Insta. Yeah, 1-inch sensor. And look, if you got to remember, a 1-inch sensor is the same as what we had on the Phantom 4 Pro. A2S. It's going to be good. What I would really love GoPro to do on top of this is make a camera also with 1,000 frames a second mode. I would literally pay tomorrow to have a camera with 1,000 frames a second mode as well, for being able to measure latency. There are so few cameras out there that do it. I would love, and I'm even talking 480p. I don't care about the resolution. I just want 1,000 frames a second as an option on a really low res mode. I would just like a 720p or lower, 480p, something to give me 1,000 frames a second mode. That would be really interesting. And here is what is interesting. There are cameras. The only real cameras out there that can do it is the Sony RX100. And there is a ZV-1 that can do 1,000 frames a second. Again, all with the Sony 1-inch sensor. So it can happen. But I would like to see 1,000 frames a second mode in a low resolution. But what it is looking like is 1-inch, 240 frames a second, as someone said, in 4K, which would be amazing. It would be very, very cool. You can do it on a 1-inch sensor. You can do 1,000 frames on a 1-inch sensor because Sony have already done it. The RX100 version 5 does it. But yeah, I'd love to see it. But no, I think the Action 4 has almost been just completely overdone by GoPro before it's really even taken hold. It is a nice camera. I think there's a lot to like about it. They've got their magnetic quick release, which they've borrowed from this. Vertical shooting mode, dual touchscreens. I think it'll actually be a really decent camera, fast charging, but I'll be honest, I still find it hard to choose DJI in the action camera space unless they do something different. And they did something different with this, and that's why so many people bought this, because they did something different. I'm not being funny, but if DJI are going to release an action camera that looks like a GoPro, costs the same amount as a GoPro, and is basically either as good or not quite as good, what is the point of the DJI? You may as well buy the GoPro. GoPro really haven't made a bad camera in a few years. We know the GoPros are just the best action cameras out there today. The reason DJI had for us to buy their camera last time with the 2 was because the form factor. That's really was the main reason to choose DJI. And I would love this camera to be as good as the GoPro, but we all know it isn't. Key refresh is good. Yes, there are other reasons, as Failsafe just said. Key refresh is another good reason. But in the US, people just buy at Best Buy and use whatever that is. In Europe, we don't have that. But DJI do have their key refresh. What are they offering on the refresh on this? So I haven't actually looked on this one. So the camera is 379 quid in the UK. Ouch. And what are they offering on key refresh? Let's just have a look. Is it down here? Let's have a look. They're not showing it there. So if I say shop now, here we go. Here we go. So the 2-year plan is 33 quid. That is pretty good. Key refresh offers 4 affordable replacements. And what do those replacements cost? Let's just check. Let's just get to the UK. EU region, Norway and Switzerland. Let's just get to the UK and then we'll look at the US. Hong Kong. UK. So in the UK, Action 4, where are you? £19 each. So if you think about it, right? So it is 56 quid for the 4 cameras, if you were to do the 4, plus the initial 33. That is, what's that? 56, 66, 86, 89 quid. So 89 quid will get you 4 cameras. That is actually incredible. That is a reason to get one of these. So 90 quid would get you 4 replacements. That is interesting. That is very, very interesting indeed. Unlimited commercial capacity. That's where they're fighting with GoPro. I'm actually tempted to order one now. Ooh. Imagine if you could get your phone replaced for 22 quid each time. Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So 90 quid for 4. That's incredible. And the GoPro, someone said, is 99. Is GoPro 99 each on their replacements? GoPro should make its own drone. What could go wrong? History repeating itself. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, through subscription. Yeah, that is a game changer. That is a game changer. So basically, all in for, what was the price of the Action? So if I say add to cart with the coverage, view cart, and I got to shove another 56 quid on top of this, 412, 468 quid for all in for 2 years. Yeah. 470. Wow. Wow, that's actually surprised me. I hadn't looked at this that close until Failsafe mentioned that. That is actually incredible. What's the comparable on a GoPro? Yeah, I think we need to have a look. So if we go on GoPro. On the GoPro in the UK, and obviously this is UK pricing, but it is different. A lot of people in the US do this differently because a lot of people in the US do this via like the Best Buy option. I can't remember what the Best Buy one is. If there's anyone in the chat who does that, tell me. The US, there's a much better replacement deals through Best Buy. So if you were to buy a full-size Hero 11 Black, so we'll go for the full size just to keep it comparable. So we're going to get 1 year GoPro subscription, okay? So $399. Learn more. Here we go. Let me just read this. Subscription benefits. Trade-in. What about repairs? I thought you could... Where's the repair option? Is that the repair option? Claim service fee tax. Hero 9 Black. So it's $99. That's the trade-in. So where is the GoPro subscription? Yeah, it's 99 quid. GoPro is 99. Yeah, so it might be... Yeah, some of them are only for the US. What is clear is the GoPro is not going to be as cheap as that. So join 2 million subscribers, unlimited cloud storage, damage replacement, and mounts. So, terms of... So, if we search for... I can't find... There's no... The word damage isn't being found. Trading up to 2 times per year of the subscription. You may trade in your GoPro equipment for any or no reason for a replacement product of the same comparable make and model, providing your equipment is listed in the eligible table and you pay the eligible trade-in fees before we ship you a replacement. So that is that trade-in the repair, which is $99. That's basically what it is. Other benefits. It's really not very clear, this at all. There may be tax if you order from Radiomaster. GoPro subscription is a service that offers the GoPro experience. As a subscriber, if you damage your GoPro, we'll exchange it, no questions asked. But I don't believe it's free. Yeah, there's no cost for replacement with exchange. I'm not sure. It's not clear in here at all. See, that's trade-in, registration, renewal terms, cancellation terms, agreement of communications. It's not very clear at all. It really, really isn't. So if we add to the basket a minute, right, and let's just go to the checkout and let's see what it comes up with. That is really not clear. GoPro subscription replacement fee. Right, GoPro. Actually, they have an article on their website about it. Is there a fee for a camera replacement? Yes, fees are listed below. So it's $99 per camera. It's $99 per camera. GoPro this was published the 12th of June 2023. Don't know how easy you guys can see it, but it is. How do I replace my camera? Is there a fee for the damaged camera replacement? Yes, there's a fee listed by the product table below. So it's $99 each. So for a Hero 11 Black, you're talking $396 for the replacements on top of the original one. So it's like it's $800. If you were to replace 4 cameras with GoPro, it would be $800 compared to DJI, which is basically going to be $500. No, there is a trade fee. So looking at this, they're saying there's a replacement. They have 3 years Protect as a separate service which protects against accidental damage. Interesting. Up front, in the end, it looks like DJI is a better deal. Up front. That is, though, outside of the US and the people, yeah, €114, 99. That's all working out the same. Outside, like the Best Buy policy, there are people who pay for the Best Buy ones. JB has mentioned that before and others. So, DJI banned in the US now? No. DJI are not banned in the US. So, yeah. Very, very interesting indeed. I just want to say a big thank you to Toilet Doc for the $14.99 Australian, I'm assuming it is. Thank you, my friend. Made it to another live stream. I really appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. Sorry it's taken me so long to get to that one. Cricket FPV is the best by Guy. Cricket FPV. I need to contact support and verify, but it's all... DJI does this. Yeah, I need to contact support and verify this all, but there's a reason DJI does this. Worst cam called in. Yeah, DJI, yeah, they're obviously playing a game. Question, are the US prices still including that 20% ban or customs Trump introduced? It would be at a dealer. Whatever DJI's price on their website is what you will pay to your door, excluding sales taxes if they say it. DJI are pretty good. The problem is sales taxes are dependent on region. Walksnail news. Actually, we will come on to that in a minute. Thank you, Ian F, for the $1 super chat. The good thing with DJI is it should be fairly smooth. You can do it on the website. They'll ship you another camera. I think that DJI are actually smashing it. Has anyone seen any good FPV footage on an Action 4 yet? Has anyone really tried it? I haven't really seen any proper tests of it. I may order one. Dobo has. Ken's got one, has he? Okay. Has he pushed it through the lights and darks to see how it is? Of course Dobo would have one. He's DJI's... He's DJI's best friend. Sucking that DJI tit. I haven't spoke to him for a while. I hope he is well. He hasn't posted it yet. Yeah, I hope he's well. I haven't spoke to him for a while. I need to send him some abuse. Yeah, well, I intended to do that with this. Funny enough, I intended to order and return this, and I never sent it back. So there is a risk. There is a risk. Yeah, Ken's a good guy. He's a very, very good guy. He's someone I class as a friend. He's a complete asshole, but he's a good guy. Somebody on Facebook asked, should I get the HDZero goggles or the module? Another person replied with a cryptic, wait a few more days. I have no idea what's around the corner. I've not been told. I don't believe there's anything new coming unless I've not been told. What we know is coming is a new Freestyle VTX. But look, if HDZero released a new set of goggles tomorrow, there'd be freaking uproar. They need to finish what they've got, not something in a few days. Perhaps there might be... I can't see there being a price drop. I really don't. I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing the new Freestyle VTX, but things are just a bit all over the place with HDZero. And look, I'm going to... As I'm on this, I'm going to mention it. Last week in the video, we talked about it, and they said, and we had like the 1080p mode is working, and it still isn't working properly. Actually, I thought it was, and it isn't. So, look, it's really hard to talk about products when half the features aren't working as we would expect. I have got a video around the corner showing the Wi-Fi mode and things like that, which is cool, but we need stability in that system now. We need stability in that system. O3 should use a lower f-stop lens to get more light and better image quality, like the Mini 3 Pro has an f1.7, same sensor. Yeah, it's just got more space. We're going to Chicago. Yeah, that'll be good to use. It's really interesting if DJI have sorted out their AGC control on it. It's if they've sorted out their AGC, it should be good, because the image quality is good on this. It's very good. It's just, you know, it's not clear if it's dynamic range. I don't fully believe it's actually dynamic range on this. You know, it's not bumping the ISO fast enough. That's the problem. For regular action cam, I'm in love with the Insta360x3. Just used it to film on a train and dang, crazy. New dive case as well. Yeah, I've never tried the Insta360s. I've been really tempted on one of them. I really have, but I've never got tempted enough to order. OpenIPC, any word on open source? Oh, shall I get myself into trouble and talking about this? Right. I forgot to put this OpenIPC. Oh, God. Right, there was a video released 3 days ago. I'm going to start this again, actually. We'll do this, and then we'll move on to Avatar HD. Then we'll move on to the Creality. There was a video released a few days ago about something called OpenIPC, which is a new open source FPV system, a digital one, and it works very differently to what we've seen before. Now, if I just hop to the desktop and show you this video, which was released a few days ago, this gives a bit of an overview of what the system is, and this is OpenHD, and the way OpenHD works is that you have your camera into a Raspberry Pi into a Wi-Fi adapter. Okay. They're just walking you through the price. However, OpenIPC allows you to remove the Raspberry Pi with certain cameras and go straight to the Wi-Fi adapter. So what you're doing is you're offloading the processing onto the camera and you're pushing it through. Now, this is very interesting. However, I'm going to be clear now, and I don't believe this is going to materialize into anything most FPV pilots are interested in. It works but you have to understand that there is a reason there is enough processing on board the O3 Air unit to mine Bitcoin. I'm not saying this camera doesn't have processing on board, because it does, but what it is not going to be is the replacement for O3. And look, let's just get to the flying bit. It is really not going to be the next coming of FPV. For starters, it's based on the Wi-Fi protocol. Wi-Fi is not the right protocol for what we do because of the way the Wi-Fi protocol works. You'd have to completely rewrite the protocol to get rid of the packet acknowledgements and all of the other nonsense that's in Wi-Fi. But it is interesting. It is interesting to see. However, I've seen a lot of people going, oh my God, this is the next best thing. This is going to replace all the systems, you know, DJI. Look, if there was something in this, DJI would have done it by now. Wi-Fi isn't, the biggest problem with Wi-Fi is latency. That's the problem with Wi-Fi because it has packet acknowledgements. Now, I'm not saying the tech on this isn't very cool because it's really quite cool to see. But it is going to be very, very limited use cases. And that, for me, stands the same predominantly for OpenHD. There is a reason why Avatar and DJI are closed LTE-based protocols. There's a reason they are using that. Massive data transfer, though, not really. You got that in what we've got already. DJI can go 40 megahertz bandwidth. It's no different to Wi-Fi. DJI are already using the same bandwidth as Wi-Fi are using. It's nothing. DJI are already up there. The only reason DJI are limiting themselves to 50, 60 megabits a second is because it jumps latency. But it's not OFDM. No, it's 7 gigs a second. Oh yeah, you can push that over, but latency then becomes an issue. Look, DJI are not restricted with anything outside of what they've chosen. And actually, if we look at what we'll probably see in O4, is another jump in bandwidth again. But look, it is interesting, but I just think people should wind back a little bit, and this isn't going to be the next coming. It's great to see, but it certainly isn't going to be replacing anything anytime soon. It's like all of these things, it's going to take time to get it resourced, but you're going to see there's better ways of doing open source out there. But it is cool nonetheless. Now, as we're talking about digital FPV, we also will touch a little bit on Avatar HD, because we know that there's a new race mode coming. That's been publicly leaked, that there's a race mode around the corner. Now, I know a bit about this, but I'm not sure what I can and can't say. Basically, temper expectations a little bit. You're not going to see a fixed latency mode, so don't think you are. You're going to see alignment with regards to race channels, and you're going to see maybe some other few things as well, but back your expectations down. There's no sudden 15 millisecond fixed mode on a dual link digital FPV system around the corner. But there is something coming. It's been leaked. It's okay. It'll be nice for some people, but don't expect anything dramatic. Negative latency coming soon. Yeah. Someone's asked if I'm going to Drone Fest. I'm trying to work it out. That week, again, happens to coincide with the week I'm meant to be camping with my family, and I'm trying to work some stuff out. Do you have tested 2.5 watt NLD boosters with O3? No, I haven't. That wouldn't be legal in the UK. O3 is predominantly limited to 23.4 kilometers. Most people can get to that with a decent setup. You don't really need much more power. I wonder if you could lower the latency if you generated more keyframes in H.265. There are complications to getting the latency. It's not even lowering the latency. We know those systems can go down to 15 to 20 milliseconds. They are capable of going sub 20, but it's the variability of it. And if you don't vary it, then you have to lose image quality. And the real big problem is with a compressed system is that the data you lose doesn't necessarily relate to specific areas of the screen. And that's why you get this blocking effect. And that's why it can just completely break down, because it's a cliff edge fall off. Whereas HDZero is more streaming the data from one side to the other. And that's the big difference. But no, look, there is some stuff around the corner. I don't think it's a big deal, but it's good to see, is what I would say. Just catching down on the chat. Something that goes back 160 hours every week, so you don't have to work. Okay. Now, before we move on, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat. If there's anything I've missed, please do let me know. We've covered the naked. We've covered the GoPro, the DJI. I might order in the DJI. Just quickly, the SpeedyBee stack is here, just on the overhead. Let me go in. Woo, focus. Woo, focus. Focus. Just a couple of things on this. So, I've had some questions around... Let me just focus properly. There we are. I've had some questions around a couple of things on this stack. So, the new SpeedyBee stack is a new mini version. It has fixed some of the issues that people have complained about on other stacks. So, for one, the USB-C port on this had a quirk that I wasn't aware of, where they had shorted together two of the wires, and that affected its use on certain USB-C cables. That is not the case on this. It is a properly wired USB-C port. Furthermore, I was asked about the black box flash, and whilst I haven't checked this myself, they have, I believe, moved it onto a separate SPI, and as a result of that, the SPI flash should work properly as well. Nice solder joint on the XT60. This was just a quick bench test, just so I could, on the XT60. I always say XT60 when it should be XT30 at times. You do these things and you say one thing and you don't pick it up in the edit. We're allowed a mistake now and again. But, overall, it's a great stack for the money. I haven't flown it. I haven't reviewed it. What I gave you guys was an overview. Obviously, it remains to be seen how well the ESC will hold up. We're going to have to see over time. But it's good to see, and I think it's good to see the price of the CRS, and I can never remember the other one. Overall, it's good. I no complaints. I've not flown it. It's going to go in. Look, it might go in a build. It might actually be resigned to my bench testing one, because I burnt out my bench testing flight controller a couple of weeks ago. I actually have a video on that. I talked about that on the live stream. I burnt one out, so it might become my bench test, simply because I need a bench test one. So I should have asked SpeedyBee for two, actually. It would have been nice to have flown one and bench test. But overall, it's a nice little stack. ENF FPV has HDZero abandoned development on the VRX modules. No, not as far as I'm aware. However, the original VRX module, so the Fat Shark one, doesn't have quite the same processing power as the HDZero version 4 one. As a result of that, it doesn't have all of the same firmware and feature capability. In theory, though, as I understand it, the version 4 should have everything the same as the goggle. That is my understanding on HDZero. Obviously, a lot of the development has been on the goggles. They have pushed an update out this week, which does add some interesting stuff. There is a beta update been released for HDZero as well, which brings lower band channels. So, if we go, let me just find the link to it. Let me just find the link. There was a new push There it is. So the new update for HDZero has pushed out a number of things, and one of them is support for the lower band channels. Now, if we go into the pull requests, it adds in support now for the lower side and a bandwidth option as well. You can set it to a lower bandwidth. So you got 17 megs and 27 megs. So the 17 megs is the 540p 60 mode. That is brand new. That, in theory, should give better penetration and better performance overall. And then we've got the lower band channels. I'm just trying to find the frequency of them. 8 channels in the lower band. Here it is. So you've got 5362 on L1, 5399, 5436, 5473, 5510, 5547, 5584, 5621. So this is rather interesting with regards to the capabilities of the system. You can choose up to the 18 channels through the keypad or MSP VTX as well. And then they've got the 540C 60 mode for the Nano 90 camera now too. And yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know how many people asked for these features. That's my real thing on this. For me, low band mode is not important. What's important is finishing the features that we've been sort of sold things on. So for instance, the 1080p 60 mode. That was a specific feature of the HDZero goggles. I think the analog has been pretty much there now, and everything else is pretty good. We're just waiting on this, but it is good to see, and I'm going to put this beta firmware on my goggles shortly, and I will do a dedicated video on this as well. More options is always good. Everyone likes more options. What's going to be interesting to see is how much better the penetration is on this 540p 60 mode. I believe it is making quite an improvement. And I will say, in the Nano 90 mode, the 540p 90, the drop in image quality really wasn't that big. It really wasn't. The HDZero goggles are 90 frames a second. But it's interesting. It should offer some decent support. I ordered the NDR boosters, see if they work. I do know some people, look, they did reach out to me on the boosters and asked if I was interested in even installing some on some people's equipment, but I just couldn't make the time work and stuff. It's a different aspect. Yes, it will be. It should help. It should definitely help on HDZero. Just got off a 9-hour flight. Very good. Okay. Now, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat before I move on to the last subject tonight. Ian F., thank you for the $1.99 super chat, by the way, on the Walksnail stuff. There you go. We've had the news there. Did someone just say something? Let me just scroll up. Just scrolling, checking. Creality now, that is next. Okay, so we'll go. So this week, I did receive this, the Creality K1. Now, there'll be an initial overview coming on this printer in the next week or so, and then I will have my review of the P1S, and then you will have the review of the Creality K1. Now, let me just grab a couple of things, because I want to show you some stuff, and I want to just share with you some interesting thoughts up front. Let me just grab some prints. Okay, so I'm going to go to the overhead. So these are off that printer, okay? So these are just some test prints. We have a Benchy in their PLA. It's called, I can't remember what they call it. It's their fast PLA. I can't quite remember the name. Rapid PLA or whatever it is. This is their test Benchy in that PLA. The bottom layer came out very dirty, but I didn't clean the build plate before I printed. So I'm assuming that was from the build plate. Let me just check we're zoomed properly, focused enough, right? There you go. So you can see there, the bottom is really dirty. Really, really dirty. Fresh dust from China. I don't know if it was in the extruder or it was on the build plate, but it was there. However, overall, the print came out very, very well. Very well. Although, COVID, it is a cheat. I'm not going to talk about speed because this print has a single outside layer and it's tuned to be rapid. But you can't knock it, okay? What I will be doing, though, is proper tests in the next week. Or a couple of weeks, actually. But what this did prove was out the box that it works. So the printer works absolutely fine out the box. My second print was this rose. Now, I've printed this on all of my printers. This is a Vaz print in PLA. It's done as a bit of a test. It's not a difficult print, but it is a Vaz mode test. You can see a little bit of stringing in there from the filament. That's the filament. It's not, it's not dry. It's a bit wet. Now, if I compare this to one on the P1P, let me just grab it. P1S, sorry. This is the same print on the P1S. This is actually the same filament. This is Creality Rainbow PLA. All three of these, right, are the same filament. It's identical. It's just the color of the spool is changing as you get through. So you get a different color. Now, I'll come back. That's on the X1. That's on the P1S. That's on the K1. Now, there is a little bit more ringing on the K1, but I can't say that isn't the slicer, because I sliced this on the Creality slicer. But overall, the print quality is very, very good. The Creality already has rubber feet on it. I'll talk about that in the review. They give you separate rubber feet to put on, which we're on it. But you can just see it there a little bit more than you can on the P1S. The blue one is worse. Yeah, the blue one is the Creality. But it is hard to say if it's the slicer or not. That's the tough part. But the overall print quality is really good. Obviously, it's different build plates. That's the PEI sheet. That's the flat sheet. But the bottom layer is fairly good. No major issues on the bottom layer. But it's not shocking. And what I can't say is if that point of the filament is showing it up worse. And it is actually on this one. It is there. It's not that it isn't. It is there. Is it the wobbling of the frame? No. Look, you will get ringing. you will always get some ringing on the print. It's even on this. See, you can even see. So if you rotate the lines down, you can see it on both prints. It is there on both. But it is more noticeable. Yeah, if I rotate them the same angles, you got them there. Now, if we just take a look at the same print on... This is on the X1, this one. Where are we? If we look on the X1. Now, what you will notice, and this is... Can you see the shine difference? You can see on the X1 a shine on the bottom where the cooling changed. As it's really shiny there, and then it shifts, and you can see the cooling. It's got to be the cooling profile change. That's the bottom layer on the X1. Ringing is still there a little bit. Yeah, when the fan kicks in. Yeah, I know. It's interesting, though, that it's not the same height. Because, look, it goes up and around. Up and around. But, yeah, it's where the fan kicks in. It could be a bit of the filament at that point, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming it's where the fan is kicked in. But you don't get that on the Creality. And, actually, if we look on the P1S, it is there a little bit on the P1S. You can actually see it there a little bit on the P1S as well. Can you see it down there? Yeah, you can. It's where obviously the auxiliary cooling fan comes in. And you do get the odd issue with the auxiliary cooling fan on these printers. But look, these two are on the... Why is there a gradient? Because the filament is a gradient filament. So the filament... is a rainbow filament. It just changes color as it goes through. It's not 3 or 4 different colors at the same point. The filament starts at one color and it just keeps changing. Single spool multicolor gradient. Yeah, it's a very nice filament. But that's the Creality. Overall, the print is good. You know, there's just... But see, I'm still not 100% convinced it might not be the slicer. We'll have, again, need to look. And look, what I'm showing you here looks far more noticeable than I conceal it. Now, the second print I've done an ABS test print on it because I wanted to see how well it handled in the cabinet. And this is my standard ABS test on this carabiner. And overall, I can't complain. It's come out absolutely perfect. New printer. This carabiner just come out in ABS absolutely fine. It looks great until you put it next to the P1 print. Yeah. And in ABS, it's perfect. You know, look, 0 issues at all. 0 issues I can complain about whatsoever. What I will do, though, is share some observations. So, out the box, the printer is very easy to put together. It is, without doubt, in a different league from a build quality point of view to the Bamboo series. And I'm talking down. It is not remotely the same. I'm sorry, but there is no... And I'm a little shocked that the reviews haven't said more about this. The K1 is very nice, but the quality difference from the K1 to the P1S is night and day. Night and day different. Just to give you some insights in what I mean by that. The quality of the outside plastics. The quality of the overall area inside. It's like, for instance, inside the Bamboo printers, all of the inside area is molded to hide the wiring and hide everything. It's like a molded interior, whereas on the Creality there is just like trunking just to hide the wiring. It's a very different printer. Now it is cheaper than the P1S. It's $100 cheaper, but you don't get the camera for that $100. I think the Creality with the camera is like $640, and the P1S is $699. In my opinion, I think that pricing is too close. If the Creality was $550 with the camera, I think it's a real good option. I need to do a lot more testing. I'm not overly unhappy with the prints. There's some ringing which I need to understand a bit more about. I'm not, but the bamboos, it is worth me saying, the bamboos are well known for ringing as well. They are not perfect. I'm not sure the $108 as Type has said there is enough. And I think it'll be less than that if you add the camera, because the Creality doesn't come with the camera. They have sent me the camera and I haven't fitted it yet, but it doesn't come with the camera. I think the printer is the out-the-box experience was okay. It came absolutely fine, no damage. What you get with it is nice, although you don't get a spare hot end like you do on the bamboos. It comes with a very small spool of filament to get you going. It's fairly easy to set up. The software is quirky. So here's something, for instance, and this annoyed me. When you get the printer, you set it up, and it does you do all the calibrations. Okay, so you set it up, it does a firmware update, and then does all the calibrations. Once that's finished, it then popped up and said, oh, there's another new firmware update. So I did that, and then it suggested I calibrated again. Then I did that, and it popped up and said there's another update, and forced me through all of that stuff again. It doesn't seem to install the updates from early to latest. It seems to do them consecutively in series. 1, then 2, then 3. And that was frustrating. I have also had the Creality Slicer, which I've installed on my PC, crash 4 times. Just messing around using it, it just crashes and falls out. That's weird. The quality of the prints, I can't complain about ABS. The ABS has come out perfectly, although I will say the carbon filter in the P1S and the X1 makes a big difference when printing ABS to the smell in the room. I could absolutely smell this as soon as I opened the door. When I printed with those other printers, I had no ABS smell at all, other than when I walked within maybe 2 foot of the printer. The overall printer is decent. All of those two were printed at the stock settings, Robin. So when I'm setting them, I'm setting them at the stock settings. Whatever the stock 0.2mm profile is. I intend to review them, predominantly setting them to their stock settings, because that is how most users are going to use it. I could go in and set everything the same, and I am going to do that on a Benchy. But at the end of the day, if their stock profile is not delivering the good enough result for the user, then that's their problem. What you shouldn't have to do is go in and adjust it. It is tuned pretty fast out the box compared. The Bamboo has a ludicrous mode, but the standard mode is a nice midpoint. I think they've probably pushed that a little bit fast out the box to make it, it's faster than everything else. But I will be doing a lot more tests. I've got more testing to do. I think the printer is very nice. I think when you add in the camera, I think it's like $60, $70 difference to the P1S. And for that, you have a printer that does have the carbon filter, that does have an AMS option. And I think the Bamboo Slicer is dramatically better than the Creality one with control of the printer and everything else. Something else, and I'm going to show you this, that really annoys me as well. And I've taken a picture of this. So I've also installed the Creality app on my phone, as you would for your Creality printer. Okay. Let me just find it, because I've saved this. And this is BS, is what this is. Let me just find it. Oh, I had it then. Lost it. When I logged into the Creality app, and I keep also getting pop-ups from the Creality app trying to sell me stuff. That is not acceptable. Period. End of non-negotiable. Daily rewards. Upgrade to premium. What the hell? Really? Really? I've just bought the printer. Right, let's do this now, right? Creality crowd print. So you can see the printers there. But the app is just always trying. Get a gift pack. Get a gift pack. Gift 1 day premium. It's like, what? I don't want to be spammed by the app I've installed to use my printer. And I'll be honest, the SpeedyBee one's as bad for that. That's just... And look, I am going to review these printers as open and as honest as I can, but if I see stuff like that prop up, I'm talking about it. That's mental. And it popped up on my phone. It was like, what? Why? Why are you showing me this? So, I don't think, so far, overall thoughts. Out-the-box experience is decent, although the setup and the updating of the firmware is a crap show. The prints, I'm fairly happy with so far. It's working absolutely fine. It is fast. It is loud. And I thought the Bamboo's was loud. It's loud. The materials of the product quality is not up there with Bamboo. It is just not. End of. And I think it's a tough sell when it's priced as close as it is to the P1S. If it's like if it was $150 cheaper with the camera, I think that is a good position to be in. I think less than $100 with the camera is dodgy ground, because the P1S build quality is in another league. The print quality is very good. You've got the AMS options. And look, there's no excuse for this nonsense with Bamboo Cloud. The Bamboo Cloud has all of the cloud functionality, and I have a video on that coming this week, because there's a lot of confusion over that, and that's going out probably Wednesday, about the wireless connectivity on Bamboo, because it does go through the Bamboo Cloud servers, but you can turn it off, and we're talking about that. But genuinely, here and now, I think for very similar money, I'd be leaning on the Bamboo. But it's not a bad product. It's certainly not terrible. But this isn't a review. I need to spend a lot more time with it. I do think it has some plus points. It is smaller. It is lighter. But I think it's tough. It's a tough sell. The big one is the quality of the external materials. I noticed it really instantly. My bro has an X1 Carbon with AMS and it's rubbish. I find the X1 Carbon, I've got one over there, is phenomenal. And look, I'll be open and clear, they did send me that printer for free. But I will still tell you that is the best printer I've ever owned. Genuinely, that printer is the best printer I've ever owned. The only problem I've got is I'm not sure I can recommend it over that, which is the P1S, which is almost as phenomenal. Almost as phenomenal. Honestly, that thing is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I've given up with 3D printing. But, to be fair, and what I'll say is this, that is the first Creality printer out the box that's just worked. It's great on silent. That's interesting. I've not had a failed print on them yet. Have I had a failed print? I can't think. I think I had one on the early X1. I haven't had many. I think it's... Have I had one? I don't think I genuinely can't think. But to be honest, I'd never had a failed print on my Prusa. I'd never had a failed print on my Prusa. I cannot knock that. That thing is just an absolute appliance. It's brilliant printer. Brilliant printer. And the Prusa is a printer I can print with when I'm streaming because it's not the loudest thing in the building. All of these are bloody noisy. That's noisy, that's noisy, that's noisy. Something else I will add, I can't leave that on whilst I want to record. The internal CPU fan is very noisy. It must be the fan that's on the board. Let me just turn it on and let's see if it comes on. See if it kicks in. I don't know if you'll hear it. Can you hear that? I don't know if it's going to come through. I can hear it. The whatever the fan is the all of the time. Whereas that's on and it's silent, and that's on and it's silent. Hear what? Yeah, there's a C. It's just like a, you know what I mean, just a fan. I'd have to turn off the. Oh yeah, I've got a noise reducer on this, so. But they're all loud. Genuinely, when these three are genuinely, they're loud. That's loud, the X1, the P1S. When they're printing, they're not loud. Creality always use cheap, too small fans. It's hard for me to it's definitely the I can hear it. So if I yeah, I've got the mics on 2 different channels, so I can't yeah, the noise reduction will be, I'd have to turn it off on, which channel am I on? Wait there, let me just check something. Which one's the pod mic? That's interesting. Oh yeah, so that's the pod mic. No. Yes, noise gate. Right, I'm going to turn the noise gate off. 1 second. Can you hear noise now? I need someone to tell me. All right, okay. I've turned the noise gate off. Yeah, but not so much. Yeah, it could be. It might be hard for you to hear. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it might be hard. Yeah, I can hear it. You'll hear it with this one. The problem is I can't easily switch over to this one on the stream because this one there's a boom mic here. You guys can just see it there. I'm only on this one on the stream, not that one, so you guys can't hear it. Right. I'm going to wrap this one up here. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has watched tonight, everyone who's donated via the Super Chats. I have gone over the DJI O3 ear unit stuff. If you're interested in seeing it, please go back and check it out. As always, massive thank you for spending some time with me. I will be back same time, same place next week. Maybe. I might be on holiday. I need to check. I might even do a quick stream if I'm on holiday somewhere. Anyway, thank you all for spending time. As I've said, there is a link to my Patreon as well as buy me a coffee in the description if you want to support the channel. You'll have the O3 antenna video tomorrow. There'll be some stuff in the middle of the week. Stay safe. I will speak to you soon. Now trying to find out how to sign off. Later.